Okay, sit, relax, enjoy. If you have tea, you can have a tea. If you don't have tea, then I'm sorry. Yes. So this is not the official class, so you don't have to worry, okay? You can relax however you want to sit or it's a free class, open class. Okay. Anyway, everybody hear me? Clear? Anirolgar? Do you need extra speaker? Okay, good morning everybody, and thank you so much for coming. Uh, the idea to gather here was just to see you guys. So thank you so much for coming. And also, uh, the other idea was to gather here is to utilize the place, and then of course get blessing from this beautiful, statues. It's not only this statue, but it has so many informations behind it. And if you guys could understand that or get some idea what this statue is and why this is very special, especially for, general for Buddhists, but then especially for the Vajrayana Buddhisms, why Guru Rinpoche is very special, So if we have that information, so then that will give us to reason why we need to gather here, why we need to have this kind of the statues, why we need to bow to him, and how we get the blessing from him, and all of this kind of the reasons. So once you have that kind of the reason, then that will gives you the how to say confident. Can I say confident? Right. So when you have the confident, then you have everything. The success basically. So we all need is success, right? So if you really need the success, then this is the like one of the place or object where you can, ask the success. And to get that, or to go to him and get that kind of the blessing and success, then we need to have this confidence. So for that, so then having a full information is important. The number one is the informations. Second, and then how much that information makes sense. That is also very important. Otherwise, that doesn't give you any sense. If that doesn't give you any sense, then again, that's not much useful, and then you don't have to follow it. Okay, so that was the second idea that gathering here. And third idea was just to do some tempas. Okay. So to get till this statue, and what we just done these prayers, which we chant in Tibetan. I'm sure you guys didn't understand what that means is, but still you guys join us and chant with us. Thank you so much for that. You will get the pay for that, maybe sometime later. So the prayers that we just done, actually the meaning, even though they have translated underneath that the chanting, the meaning sometimes it doesn't make any sense for us when we look at general view or mundane or conventional view. or relatives view, because this text is Vajrayana practice, and particularly the Dzogchen practice. And within the Dzogchens, also there is the mind cycle Dzogchens, mind expense Dzogchens, and pit instruction Dzogchens. And within the pit instruction, there also has a 4 layers: outer instructions, inner instruction, secret instruction, and secret most instructions. So this is the secret most instructions part. So to understand this, you have to have some kind of the how to say foundations or informations about what Vajrayana is and how Vajrayana look at the things and how Vajrayana visualize it and all of that. So to understand this, it's I think you have to have some information. So I don't know how much I can give you the informations, but I will try. Okay. So let's say general. Like I said, relax, and if you don't understand, please raise your hand. Okay. Like raise your hand like this, if you have hand. Okay, yeah, be free, relax, right? Be free, relax, and eat, drink whatever you have. And then I will try to give you some informations. And hopefully this information will give you some idea what Buddhism is, and particularly what Vajrayana Buddhism is, right? So idea that we have right from this universals create, this universal or this the world that we're living in. From first they create this universal, and then the human beings or sentient beings also create there. Of course, from the Buddhist viewpoint, there is no beginning time. When the universal begins or create, that's no beginning. It's called beginningless. Maybe if you are Christian background or maybe Muslim backgrounds or Hindu backgrounds, then you might say created by God. But from a Buddhist viewpoint, it has come from its own cause and conditions, and that cause and conditions comes from that previous cause and conditions. So when you investigate in that way, so that becomes infinite, which means beginningless. That's no way that we can point to say that, okay, this is the beginning. Okay, so how this universal begins from the Buddhist point, beginningless. That's no beginning point. And also there is no end point also, because it's a general. For the individual, there is no beginning, but for the individual, that could be the end, because there is the chance to be enlightened, right? So when you enlightened, when you become a enlightened being, when you become a Buddha means not a Buddhist Buddha, okay, but the knowledge, the level, higher level of, when you reach that level, when you fully awaken, when you become an enlightened being, then that is the end. So that is the end point for the individuals. But for the general, there is no end point. Okay? And then when this universal begins, and also sentient beings also begin because of their own previous karma. And then ever since the sentient beings begins, so then they try to find what they want. Maybe some before they used to be used by their force, power, strength, but then later on, then human being becomes more smart. So then they have their territories, right, the area, and then they start choosing the leadership, and then slowly, then education starts, then the people becomes more smart and more wise, and then they become like one kingdom or universal, and according to that, then that the idea of finding a happiness increase. So now there are so many other example, and there's a long story, but long story in short. There was the Western system or Western methods to finding of happiness, and there is the Eastern way or Eastern idea to finding the happiness. So Eastern side, let's say like Asia side, so when they find the happiness, they did not really, how to say, give a priority to external part. They more focus on internal part, which is the mind. And then now taking care of mind, by taking care of mind, then that happiness will find. That is their belief. And that is how they've been training so far. And Western side, they focus more on the external part because, of course, luxuries, eating, food, sleeping, these are very much helpful, like very much important. And then the flexible, comfortables, those luxurious things are very important. So at Western side, they find external way to finding a happiness. So that is why, the scientist begins from the West side. But then more religions begins from the Eastern side. So that is how it becomes. So now, so Buddhism also comes from that. So when we have that kind of the religion, then religions, there are so many religions, but then that can categorize into two. One is theistic, one is atheistic, or one is believer and one is non-believer. So when I say believer, believer means to believe to the God, to have a faith and belief to God that this universal and that all the sentient beings or whatever happening here in this world today is created by God. He has the power, He is the authority. Can I say authority? All right? He is the authority. He has the authority. And He created us. So whether you go to hell or heaven, whether you have successful life or failure life, it's not in your hands. It's in God's hands. And having that kind of the thought and belief to God or mighty God or that kind of the system, to believing that kind of the system is what we call believer. Now the other part, non-believer or theistic, so this part, why this is non-believer is because they don't believe this universal is created by God, or there is the someone who can create this world and the sentient beings and us. So that is another part. And Buddhism considered as a non-believer. Buddhists don't believe creator or God who has created this world. And in non-believer there are mainly I think 3-4 class. One is Samkhya class. Samkhya also don't believe creator. And then Jain and Buddhisms and also Charvakas, that Indian one of the Indian classes. Yeah. So there are mainly the 4. So so let's more focus on the Buddhism. So Buddhists don't believe the creator. The reason is Buddhists believe law of cause and effect. So when we understand the concept of law of cause and effect, then it's difficult for us to believe this created by God, because like potato only produced potato. Potato doesn't produce onion or garlic or the chili, tomato, right? Banana, mango. The question is why potato cannot produce the other things? Because the potato has only that potentials, and only that potato can produce the potato. And at that point, scientist doesn't work. At that point, the power doesn't work. At that point, then this what is that? Religion doesn't work. It's completely depend on the potato itself. And potato, if that potato is rotten, R-O-T, rotten, right? if that potato is not a solid one, then that cannot really produce the result. So that is also proof that that each and every things comes from that's on its own how to say it, the cause. Now cause, and then second part is conditions. When cause and condition is there, then because of these two, then result will come out. So now this system it's not just made by somebody, or it's not made by Shakyamuni Buddha, but this system exists there ever since the universals exist, ever since sentient beings exist, and it will remain there until this whole universal becomes empty, or until all the sentient beings attain the enlightenment. Because this is what we call natural law. It's not just made by somebody. So when we understand this system, then concept of God is no more. I mean, for those people who believe this concept, or those people who understand this law of cause and effect. So in Buddhism, as a foundations of the practice, this concept is very important. If you don't understand this concept, law of cause and effect, cause, condition, and then effect, three things: cause, condition, effect. So then it's difficult to become the actual Buddhism, actual Buddhist practitioner, because whenever, if, for example, we did this morning the puja, and we gather here, each and everything has the result, consequences. Having that belief, then we do homage. With that belief, then we do prostrations. With that belief, then we offer. With that belief, then we use all this kind of the instrument. And with that belief, wearing this cloth. With that belief, then we do meritorious activities. And with that belief, then we avoid doing bad karma. We avoid killing. We avoid stealing. We avoid telling lie. We avoid having misconduct, and then so many others. Whatever that connect and produce the suffering, that we reject or that we avoid. Whatever something that brings happiness and peace, that we engage. So why we have that confidence, how we get that confident, it's only when we know the cause and effect, system of law of cause and effect. If we don't understand that system, then why do I stand here, or why do you guys have to listen to me, why you guys have to build this kind of the statues? Of course, there is the cause and conditions, and there is the result. And being a human being, generally sentient beings, and especially being a human beings, we have that sense of understandings, what we call smart, right? Smart, intelligent. So now how do we prove that we are smart? How do we prove that we are intelligent? Just eating and sleeping and wearing and having some money, that's not sufficient to prove you are smart and you are intelligent. To prove and to say I am smart, we must do something that reasonable, something that reliable, something that relatives, something that relate with the truth. And then truth is cause and condition effect. This is the relative truth that we have to relate. And these things go on and on, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. Whether you believe it or not, time will not change. Whether you believe it or not, the sun will always, dispel the darkness. Whether we believe it or not, there will be end point. Like death point. So believing that I'm not going to die, that's not going to stop. That will die. And like that moment will come. And why that comes? Because that is the natural law. There was a king, there was a powerful man, there was a rich man, there was a wise man, even Shakyamuni Buddha who had obtained enlightenment, who was free from all those kind of the consequences point. But yet he shown us to liberate, he gave up the Vajra body, and he shown us that no matter who you are, you have to die. So that was the one example that Shakyamuni Buddha entered into the parinirvana, or he passed away. And if powerful man has to die, if king has to die, if rich man has to die, if enlightened being has to die, then why not, right? And after dying also, if you like vanish, nothing will after that, then it's okay. Then we can enjoy the life, right? Have party, man. But the thing is not happening that way. When you die, your body will stop breathing. But then your consciousness is continuity. Consciousness always moving until you free from that confusions. So your consciousness, as long as your consciousness is there, you suffer. As long as your consciousness is continuity is there, you are still in confusions, you are still in the darkness, right? So now the moment that we have, like I said before, we say that we are smart, intelligent, then now use that intelligent, use that smartness. Try to find how I can be free from this darkness, how I can be free from these confusions, how I can stop this consciousness getting, getting like, I couldn't find the words. How I can now be free from the suffering of samsara, how I can free my mind from this darkness. So now that point is very important, and that's exactly what Shakyamuni Buddha did. And I think as a intelligent person, as a talent person, as a smart person, as a wise person, I think to appreciate someone's step and then to investigate on that and accept that and implement that is the smart step. So, okay, I think I'm going wrong track. I should supposed to speak about the Guru Rinpoche, but I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, this is me. So now, I was saying why we don't believe the Creator, God. The reason is the concept of cause, condition, and effect. Okay. So when we understand these things, of course, their cause and cause also has a 3 attributions. Condition has a 6 type of the conditions, and then when these 2 relate, then result produce. So there has so many things to explain. Maybe sometime we can talk this. So that was the one reason why we don't believe Creator. Okay, am I clear? And also, there are some, like especially in, of course, all the religions, but especially in the Hindu religions, what they believe is the self is exist, independently exist, and self as a permanent, self as a light of all, the consciousness or soul or the self is exist independently forever, and it will be there until enlightenment. That concept that the Hinduism has, and of course all the religions, they believe the soul is the immortal, right? Immortal, permanent. Now Buddhist concept, we don't believe self, we say selfless. And how we believe that, how we understand that? Interdependent originations, interrelated. There is a male because there is a female. Without female, we cannot really pronounce the male and females, right? There is a darkness, night, so because of there is a day. If there is no daytime, and there is no nighttime too. So that two interrelated. When I say me or I, you supposed to be there. Without you, I cannot pronounce I. So this is what we call interdependent. By depending you, I can call I. Depending to me, I can call you. So I'm just giving you the simple example, okay? So this is what we call interdependent. So it's not necessarily comes like cause and conditions and result. That is one point of interdependent originations. But then this one is like interrelated. So this is what we call interdependent originations. Because of you, I exist. Because of I, you exist. Because of night, day exists. Because of day, night exists. Like that. So each and every individuals, each and every particles, each and every atoms, they interrelated. So the concept of emptiness in Buddhism is what we basically saying is empty of independence. Okay, understand? Hello? Don't sleep, okay? Please. The concept of the emptiness is emptiness of independence. There is no independence at all. Okay. So the having the concept of self as a permanent, as a mortality, it's not exist because it's independence. So concept of emptiness will start from there. Now when we comes to the emptiness point, then from here, what is the nature of all the phenomena that we see today, we hear today, we smell today, we taste, we touch, we experience, and this is something that we have to understand. This, the conventional way, and that is the ultimate way, absolute way. That's a two way to look at it. Now, in relatives levels, that's no problems. Only you have to understand is law of cause and effect, law of causality, cause, condition, and effect. And this is the general. In relatives, we have to believe this, cause and condition and result. Other than that, nothing much to talk about it. Accept, do whatever you want to do, but make sure that result comes positive. If that activity is related with the positive things, then you are okay to do. You doesn't have to be a Buddhist. You doesn't have to be a religions. You can do that things. But you have to be honest for yourself to say that, okay, I am doing this, and I am confident that the consequences of this will be positive, because that is your goal. What you want is happiness. What you don't want is suffering. So if you don't want suffering, just only saying I don't want suffering doesn't work. You have to stop that cause of suffering. And if you want happiness, only saying I want happiness doesn't work. You have to engage into that activities, so that brings you the happiness. So we have to make sure these things. And now how we distinguish positive and negative? How do we? It's completely depend on your intentions. If you have a good intentions, no matter what you do, that will be positive. So that is why in Buddhism, generally in Buddhism, particularly in Mahayana Buddhism, we emphasize to compassion, love, bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. The reason is, of course, we are human beings. We have so many, negative thoughts, afflicting emotions. We have anger. We have the root is we have ignorance. And because of that ignorance, then we have hope. Because of that hope, sometimes that hope doesn't come, how to say, fulfilled, right? That the hope, oh, today I will become so rich. But then when you open your eyes, you are not rich. You are still same. Then that disappoints you, and that disappointment becomes your anger, right? Ignorance. Because of ignorance, you have a hope, not understanding that capacity you're believing to become rich, and now that becomes your anger. And now when you get anger, you see someone's having what you are dreaming, then you get jealousy. Why he has that one? Why not me? What is wrong with me? What he has? So that kind of the jealousy start, and then the stinginess, greediness, all of that will start. So because of that, we not really emphasize, or we will not really be able to engage into the practice of truth practice. So then we always wander in the suffering of samsara, ended up doing negative karma, and then wander. So the very essence of to be free from all those things is then changing your mind, modified. Okay, anyway, changing your minds, having the intentions of benefit to others, the compassions, kindness. So if you have that, then at least having that kindness or having that kind of the intentions, next step, whatever you do, that could become not 100%, but that could become positive way because of your intentions. Okay, so in general, the whole Buddhism, particularly in Mahayana Buddhism, we emphasize the intention and motivation is very important. No matter what you do, you have to generate the bodhicitta. No matter what you do, without generating the bodhicitta, you cannot practice any Mahayana practice, or especially the Vajrayana. So the key point is that. So having a good intention is important. And with that good intention, then you can go to bar, have dance. With that intentions, you can sing. Yeah. With that intentions, then you can, do whatever you want. But if you are really talented and smart, then make sure that you are doing, that activity that you are engaging in brings a good result. That is important. Okay. And that intention is connected with this intentions. And this words of my perfect teacher, it has said that what makes an action good or bad, not how it looks, nor whether it is big or small, but good and evil motivation behind it. So whatever activities you do, even though you are giving, the $100 to someone, physically we're seeing he's actually donating $100, but the intention that whoever donating that, his or her intention is, if I give this $100 to this man, these people will, see me very good persons, as a good rich persons, or they will praise me, I become a famous. If you have that kind of the intentions, then because of your intentions, even though you donating something, that becomes a negative. But if you have the good intentions, sense of helping of others, then even though you use the harsh word, even though you use the bad words, even though way of your speaking and doing is a little bit of awkward or bad way, that can bring a good result. The reason is the motivations behind it, good motivations behind it. Okay, so this one is very important. So when I say now motivations, that has nothing to do with physical part. It's mental. It's a mind. So that is why now in Buddhisms, right from the Four Noble Truth to until this Great Perfections teachings, the Dzogchen teachings, it's all talk about how to train our mind, how to settle down our mind, how to turn our mind from negative to positive. Okay? So that is important to understand. And one thing, just to give you the idea what the difference between Hinayana, Mahayana and Vajrayana, the purpose is same, to settle down your mind and transform your mind from ordinary to extraordinary, from general to particular, from negative to positive. Are you guys listening to me? Okay. I'm listening to, I'm talking to you, so you have to listen to me. Okay. So now the idea is how to transform one's own mind. And then now technique is, there are so many techniques, but mainly that categorized into three. Hinayana one level, Mahayana, and then Vajrayana. Okay, so let me show you the example. Maybe that would help. So let's say this paper is your mind. Okay, this paper is your mind. From the beginnings, your paper is very straight. Just your mind is very straight, just like this. There's no any wrinkle. There's no any tangles. It's very clean. Can you see that? Right? Now what happened is, because of some small mistake, because of the ignorance, then we got a wrong path. So slowly, every day it becomes shrink. It becomes like this. Our mind now becoming like this, very strong, very angle, right? So now, to make a straight just like before, as it was, because of we've been doing this so many lifetimes, so it becomes so strong now. It's very difficult to make a straight like before. You see, there are so many wrinkles, right? So now Theravada, what they are doing is, then they are trying their best to make a straight by doing meditations, Shamatha meditations and Vipassana meditations. Okay, so that is their technique. And what they did is, first I have to be free from this suffering of samsara. Once I liberate from this suffering of samsara, then at least I will have some kind of the ability to help all the sentient beings, and then I will help. So that is Theravada's concept. Okay, so they are trying to pull this very tight and doing meditation, but yet still not straight, right? Now this is Theravada's situations. Now still the Mahayana situation, now second level, still the concept is same. Okay, the mind try to make this straight. Now Mahayana becomes more like technique skillful. What they are doing is, they are being so more kindness, thinking that, okay, since I'm wandering in the suffering of samsara and I don't want suffering and I want happiness, all the sentient beings are equal as wanting a happiness and not wanting a suffering. So let's work together, or more, because I depends on them, because if there is a good society, I become a happy, and I become a safe. If society is not very good, no matter how much I can try, that will be prisons, like closing door, closing window, and everything, thinking that some people might come and rob to you or do something bad to you. If you have that concept, that's not saving yourself, and that is not a good way to finding a happiness. Internally you are really depressions, too much worried, too much self-centered. So what Mahayana talking is, relax, instead of try to being yourself safe and happy within yourself, why don't you make a good community so that you can trust to them and you can relax to them at least. Then try to do something to others. So that technique is Mahayana. I'm just giving you the example, okay? So with that, then all they're trying to pull these things, try to make it straight and generating the compassion, love, and all of that. Now this is the Mahayana techniques. Now Vajrayana, the technique is still same, but what Vajrayana doing, is now Vajrayana is taking a good risk at biggest. Vajrayana technique is like this. You know, that's nothing much to press, but the technique is different. The purpose is same, how to make a straight the levels of mind. Hinayana, but Mahayana is different. But then Vajrayana, what they did is just dip into the water and then flat. Right? It's easiest way, and at the same time dangerous also. You could spoil the papers, right? So this is what we call the techniques. So Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, purpose same, but the technique is different. So Vajrayana here becoming some more skillful. Okay, I don't want to spoil this one, so I'm going to keep here. Okay. So that Vajrayana. So in Vajrayana, what we are doing is, okay, but when we say Vajrayana, Vajrayana has a 6 level. First 2 level, okay, 6, but then that categorized into 2. Outer Vajrayana, inner Vajrayana. Outer Vajrayana is, there are 3. Kriya, which more like activities from body. Charya, which more the behavior, and then yoga, then more training the mind. So this is the 3 outer Vajrayana. So each practice, if you do activities like Kriya Tantra, it says in text it has said, if you do only Kriya Tantra, that's like Nyungne practice and all of that. So by doing that within the 16 lifetimes, that the maximum 16 lifetimes, anyhow you will get the enlightenment. That is the maximum time, 16 lifetimes. This Kriya Tantra, okay. Now here Charya Tantra. Charya means the habit or conduct of your body and speech. Now this practice, if you engage into only this practice and do this at least 7 lifetimes, that is the maximum time that it will take to enlightenment, attain the enlightenment. Now Yoga Tantra, which the particularly talking about the mind training, Yoga Tantra. So here then it says, some text it has said 3 lifetimes, and some text it has said the 5 lifetimes. The words of my perfect teacher, it has mentioned 5 lifetimes. But then what is that? Guya Garbha Tantra. Guya Garbha Tantra, in Guya Garbha Tantra text it has says 3 lifetimes. So Yoga Tantra. So these 3 is outer practice that if you could do. Now inner Tantra, it's what we call Dzogchens. I mean, like inner Tantra, there is the mind, of course yoga only, the mind training, and within the mind training also, and there is the 3, Maha, which more emphasize only the generating the deities, and then second Anu, which has to do with the charnel and then wind practice, and then also Bindu, little bit of Bindu. But then Dzogchen practice more emphasized to the Bindu or the mind only. So these 3, if you could do genuinely and practice, engage into this 3 practice, then it says that there is the chance to have attained in one life or maybe the Bardo times. You know, so that is why the 4 practice is very important in that case. So that Dzogchen practice we are talking about. And then Guru Rinpoche, all the 6 teachings taught by Guru Rinpoche. Of course, Shakyamuni Buddha, he taught the Kala Chakra, he has mentioned so many other texts also, but not really rebuilt out. When we see like 103 volumes of Shakyamuni Buddha's words of the Shakyamuni Buddha, which has 103 in Dege printer. So in that, there are the 29 volumes books which talk about the Tantra only. But that mostly that part are talking about this outer Tantrayana. But then inner Tantrayana, particularly the Dzogchen practice taught by the Guru Padmasambhava. And Guru Padmasambhava is actually the emanations of Amitabha Buddha itself. So he came into this world just to teach this Tantrayana and also subdue this demon, can I say demon? That evil spirit, demons who, create the problems to the peoples and then sentient beings, of course. So to subdue them and teach the Tantrayana teachings, particularly the Dzogchen teachings, so that everybody could enlighten within one life. So for that reasons, then Guru Rinpoche came into this world, and then he started giving these teachings. Like I mentioned before, he is the emanations of Buddha Amitabha, and how he came into this world. Also, it seems a little bit of it's difficult to explain and also difficult to believe. So because, like I just mentioned, we always believe into the law of cause and effect, and then we have to take a birth in this world from mothers or from fathers and mother support. But here, Guru Rinpoche is not like that. He directly came from Amitabha Buddha's heart into the re-syllables, with the radiance, with the luminous light, and then that landed on this lotus flower, and then he manifest, or he transformed into the Guru Rinpoche, and that is how he came into this world. There are so many controversies on this, so I'm not going to go on that. And now from that moment to till Guru Rinpoche depart from Tibet to Yakshak, the land, his journey was related with the Tantrayana teachings and particularly Dzogchen teachings. So he has taught so many teachings, and his land, actually there are so many like related in India, of course, and then Nepal and Bhutan and then Tibet, mostly the Himalayan regions he has visited, because most of the Himalayan peoples, there has so many of these demons, evil spirit. So he has to subdue that, he has to tame them and then subdue them and teach them this Vajrayana teachings. And then also from evil spirit to transform as a Dharmapala. So today when we do Dharmapala, we are not really taking a refuge or not really supplicating them, but we are requesting, we are just giving them an order, just like Guru Rinpoche has given you a job to take care of all the sentient beings, and then especially for the Dharma practitioners, you should not forget that and keep continuing helping us. So we're actually demanding, when we're doing Mahakala, we are demanding to the evil spirit that, you are my bodyguard. Don't forget that you have made a promise in front of Guru Rinpoche. Wake up, look after me, look after my pupils. So like that. So this concept, so we have to understand. So after that, there are so many, right from the Garab Dorje, Sri Siha, Bimala Mitra, Guru Padmasambhava, Khandu Ishichoel, Khandu Mendarawa, and then Berochana, Bimala Mitra, and then of course Rongzom, Kunchen Rongzom, and then 14th centuries, I think Longchen Rabjams, and then Jigme Lingpa, all this lineage, they practice, all these great masters, they practice this great Dzogchen practice which taught by Guru Padmasambhava, and they enlighten, they liberate. So we today, we're respecting him. We try to build his statue and try to practice this The reason is because of his kindness, today we are able to practice this Riwo Sang. Because of his kindness, we are able to practice the Rigzin Dupa. We are able to practice the Yumka practice. And we are also able to practice the great perfections, Kadak and Lundup. Kadak means like primordial wisdoms, right? The primordial purities, let's say. The Kadak means, Ka means the primordial, the beginnings. Dak means the purity. So primordial wisdom or primordial purity, we practicing that. So like I mentioned before, the paper at the beginnings our mind is very flat, very empty, free of all this kind of the confusions. But because of our some small mistake, then we did the small mistake. So because of that mistake, we did other mistake. And because of that mistake, then that becomes a two-track. And one track nirvana, one track is the samsara. So that is how we ended up being in this samsara. So now, the very essence of Vajrayana teaching is to recognize one's own primordial wisdoms, primordial reality, which is inherently exist ever since we are in this world, ever since we are exist. But because of our afflicting emotions, because of ignorance, we are not really being able to see it, and then we ended up doing some bad karma, and then because of that we suffer, right? So now, because of his kindness, we are understanding that there is the kadak, there is the primordial wisdoms, and there is the technique of knowing the primordial wisdoms. Like I mentioned, like I shown that the methods, that's very short way or very technical ways, skillful methods. So kadak, and the other part is hundup. Hundup means spontaneously, hundups by itself. So we don't have to really do anything. By nature of that mind is primordial, and it has that qualities, and all we have to know is all we have to do is recognize kadak and hundup and bring it all together, the unity. So that is why Thogel and Tekcho teaching is for that. And that kind of the teachings have taught this Guru Rinpoche. So before we believe him, to understand his background is number one, very important. And second, each and every part that he is holding, you can see this picture, has the reason, symbolize or represent something. So I'm just trying to tell you some of these symbols, okay? So like I mentioned before, Guru Rinpoche is not born from father and mother's support, but it was born from direct from Amitabha Buddha's heart to land it down on this lotus flowers, and that is how he becomes as a form of this human form. But his form is not like flesh and bone and then blood. It's not like this kind of things, but his body is rainbow body, it says. Rainbow body. So he is actually represent by birth his immortality. Right from the beginnings, he is free from all kind of this confusions. So he is free from all those kind of confusion. But yet here he was in this world. He was in this world and teaching all these dharma teachings, particularly this Tantra teachings. So he considered as the represent of a past Buddha, present Buddha, and future Buddha. Also in Vajrayana we have the three main practice: Guru practice, meditational deity practice, and Dakini practice. Lama Idam Khando, Guru Deva Dakini. So he represent as a Guru Deva Dakini also. So now he also represent the three kaya, Dharma kaya, Sambho kaya, Nirvana kaya. So he is represent the three kaya also. So it says that all in one package, kind of things, all in one package. So by just having his statues at our home, whether you are believer or non-believer, whether you how to say have the faith and devotion to him or not, at least because that is none other than Dharmakaya, Sambhokaya, Nirvana Kaya, and also it's none other than three Kayas Buddha, which is, if you really look at in your mind, that is the kadak, what I just mentioned, the mind of your own natures. Nature of your own mind is the represent of three kayas, which is Guru Padma Sambhava. So the technique in Vajrayana is the fundamentals, or a fundamental technique of the Vajrayana is to understand one's own mind, or to relate one's mind to let's say Guru Rinpoche, or to relate, okay, first I will say relate with Guru Rinpoche. Now how we understand the Guru Rinpoche is so kindness and so grateful, then we have to see our root teachers. Because root teacher give us the teachings, shown the methods, so that we can understand one's own mind. By practicing that, we can also become a Buddha. We can be free from the suffering of samsara. Then he or she become our the greatest kindness. Can I say greatest kindness? Right? So then, by understanding him or by understanding her, so then they understand how Guru Rinpoche is kindness. Now, but since we are human being, we have the different concept. We have, or he is just a human being, you know. He also has the same body like I have. Then why should I respect him? Why should I do this and that? No matter, even though he is my teacher, who cares? Some of may say that way. So what we are doing now in Vajrayana techniques, mind, the kindness of mind, the loving, the compassionate mind is Guru. But the physical form is Guru Padma Sambhava. So when we practice the Guru Yoga, at that time what we are doing is we are trying to see our root teacher into Guru Rinpoche. The mind of Guru Rinpoche is mind of your root teachers. But the physical body, since you have that impure thoughts to say, okay, my Guru, you know, then sometimes that can lead to way that can give you the mistake misinterpretations. So having his body, since his body is luminous, since his body is represent of kaya, vaka, chit, dharma kaya, sambho kaya, nirvana kaya, since his body is represent the three times Buddha, past, present and futures, so then of course, you know, we have that respect already. So just having his statue at our home also brings some kind of the blessings or some kind of the energy, because this universe is all about the energy, right? So yeah, okay, I'm not going to go in that way. I'm always going a wrong track. Sorry for that. So now to understand this Guru Rinpoche, his physical body is represent Nirvana Kaya. Okay, his physical, the outfit, he's wearing this brocade coats and these things. It's represent the Nirvana Kaya, and also he has wearing the monk robe inside. So this considered as a Nirvana Kaya. Okay, and then now also his wearing the like earrings, necklace, and then bangles, finger rings, and so many others, and this considered as an Sambhoga Kaya, because Sambhoga Kaya has a 13th, ornament, 13 ornament, I think you know that, 8 ornament and 5 cloth, so this becomes 13. Yeah. So then he has all that 13 symbols of the Sambhoga Kaya. So you're also wearing that. And then his heart is represent, or his body represent a Dharmakaya, because Dharmakaya means naked, no color, no shape, no characteristic. So if you see Sambhoga, Samanda Bhadra or Amitabha Buddha, doesn't have any ornament, doesn't have anything. It's a very pure. So that represents the mind, nature of mind, Dharmakaya. Okay? So this Kaya, this is how it represents. And now, and there are so many other parts, but then more important that we have to understand here, hat, and then this Khadwanga, what we call, and then this handball he has. So these three is more significant. That these three things that we have to understand. Okay, let's start from head. So Guru Rinpoche actually has this kind of head. He has the 3 head and hat. Sorry, hat, H-A-T, hat. I'm sorry, my pronunciation. He has a special 3 head. And how he got that hat, the number 1, the moment he take a birth in this world, I mean, like he landed on this earth. So Dakini, so many other Dakinis came and offered him as a gratitude. So that one hat he has had, that's called lotus hat, lotus boot hat, that one. And then second hat is Guru Rinpoche did the meditation on great channels, the 8 great channel it says. So while he did that, he subdued all these demons or evil spirit, and then he become a victory one, right? Victory, the winner. He win that. So as when we win the whole cup, we get the cup, right? Whole cup. So at that point, Guru Rinpoche got the hat. Dakini again offered the one hat as a victorious. Okay, that was the second hat that he has. It says that Dakini represent him as a symbol of his greatness. Okay, that is the one hat. And then third one, the hat he has is, then he was doing meditations with Dakini Mandarawa in Sahur land with King Arshadara. With Guru Rinpoche and Mandarawa was doing meditation in kingdom of Sahur. And then Mandarawa was the daughter of King Arshadara. So since Mandarawa has the attractive looks and then very beautiful, and then when she becomes like 16, so many other kingdoms came to the king and said, okay, we want your daughter to our kingdom to marry. So at that time, then king asked to Mandarawa, so this is kind of the proposal has come. So what do you want to do? So Mandarawa said, no, I don't want to get married, but I want to do the meditation. I want to do the practice dharma. I want to make this life meaningful. So then, since he is the father of that Mandarawa, so He said, okay, if that is your choice, then I allowed you to do that. And then with 500 student, or let's say servant, with 500 servant, and then Mandarawa went to the cave to do meditations. But while they were doing the meditations, they meet Guru Rinpoche there, and then she and her 500 servant or retinue start receiving teaching from Guru Rinpoche and doing meditations. But then some of their local people saw that Mandarawa is meeting with some guy, and they thought Mandarawa is actually in dating. So then and then that people, the local people went to the town, and the rumor start. Oh, Mandara was saying this and that, and she said that she want to do the practice and become make a human lives meaningful. But then today she was doing this and that. So that kind of the rumors spread, and then eventually that king heard that rumors, and then king was so angry, and then king gave an order to say that, okay, go and catch both of them, bring them here. And then they catch Guru Rinpoche and Mandarawa both, and then without asking any questions, king ordered to their servant or minister and everybody to say that, okay, fire him alive. And then Mandarawa they put into the prison under the ground. And then they wait until the 7 days. And then end of the 7 days, king said, okay, go and bring that ashes from that Guru Rinpoche. We burn him alive. So by now maybe everything's done now, maybe ashes. So bring the ashes. So then king sent to some servant to get the ashes. But then when people get there, what they saw is Guru Rinpoche, was sitting there very fresh and then relaxed. Okay, let me just read here, okay. This is from the words of my perfect teacher, okay. The third was offered to him by Arshadara, king of Sahur. The king had tried to burn the master alive, but discovered his Vajra body, unharmed by the fire, and sitting naked, perfectly cool and fresh in the heart of the miracle's lotus. He was struck with wonder, and faith rose in him, and open up my new store of silken garment, and he offer and then bring all they had and clothes to him. The hat he offered at that time, not only along with all these other possessions, but also with his retinue, his kingdom, and his subject, is called like this. So now when the king saw his body is nothing harmed by the fire and sitting perfectly cool and fresh, so then the faith and devotions towards Guru Rinpoche arose, and then he bowed down and he apologized, and then he offered. In India at that times, giving head to someone is big deals. Not only that time, still, if you go to India and if you ever touch someone's head, they will kill you. Still, especially the Sikh, the Punjab. How many of you know the Punjabi? Right? So Punjab, they call their pakri. So this means this is their world. If you touch that, then you are finished. So still this tradition exists in India. So at that time, the King Arshodara, the king of Sahur, offered this hat to the Guru Rinpoche. And not only that, everything he offered. And that hat is this. This head is that one. So this name is called Thongdol, liberation by seeing. It's called Thong means seeing, Dol means liberations, liberation by seeing. So this is that head. So now this head, this particular head has a two layers, outer and inner, the symbolizing the unity of the generations and perfections. That head, okay, inside and outside. So outside the generations are the what we call kerim, and then perfection, the zokrims. So this only shows that how Guru Rinpoche represent and emphasize towards the Tantra and particularly the Dzogchen practice, right? And then this head has a 3-point, that center, and then left and right. Can you see the 3-point? Prong or 3-point, and that symbolize the 3 kaya. 3 kaya means dharma kaya, sambho kaya, nirvana kaya. That's represent the 3 kaya. Okay. And then if you see the Thangka, or sometimes there also shows the 5 colors at that time. So it says that 5 color represent the 5 kayas: body, speech, mind, noble qualities and noble activities. That's called the 5 kayas. And so that 5 kayas work for benefit to the beings, benefit to the others. And with that, the head has moon and then sun. Also that down there moon, and top of that there is the sun. So it symbolizes the skillful means and wisdoms. Okay, this moon symbolizes skillful means, and then sun symbolizes the wisdoms. So that head has the, now here we don't see it, but then most of the head has the head, the prong and all the round. It has the blue color, they are rounded by that. So that blue color is considered as the samaya, unbroken samaya, continuity samaya. In Vajrayana, samaya means everything. Like I mentioned before, I show you this illustrate. I illustrate you that. So using this technique is actually depend on the samaya. If you don't have the good samaya, if samaya is broken, so then there is no way that you can fix it. I mean, like, of course there is a fix, but then it's a too danger. That's no way that you can stuck on the middle. It says that is the one example they use. On the long pipe, pipe, called pipe, right? So if you put the snake from one side, there is no way that a snake can turn in middle or escape from the middle or turn back. Either that snake go down or come back, up go. There is no middle way. So similarly, Vajrayana practice means either you go up or go down. That's no middle, how to say that, middle, how do I say, stage where you can escape. So that is why the samaya is very important at that point. And then now, on top of that, you can also see the Vajra. Can you see? Do you need telescope? Okay, the top Vajra as a symbolize of unshakable concentrations. So meditations, concentrations, it's basically talking about the Tekche practice. In the Tekche practice, more concentrate on this, meditations and then concentrations. Conceptualization, concentrations, and non-conceptualization, concentrations. So that is help us to cut the root of our mind. That help us to be free from this illusions, free from this, not illusion, delusions, free from the delusions, and concentrate on the true nature of mind or reality. Okay, And top of that Vajra, you can also see the vultures' feathers. So that consider is to be free from this reality, this the delusions or this or reach high level. The point here is the view. So what makes Buddhists different than other religions? What makes Vajrayana different than Hinayana? What makes Vajrayana different than Mahayana? And what makes Dzogchen practice different than Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Maha, Anu? And then what makes Dzogchen very special? Because the view they have. So understanding the view, that makes you different. If you don't have that view, then no matter what you practice, because you don't have the right view, so if you don't have right view, you won't be able to get that sure or that level. So here is saying that the vulture's feathers represent the realizings of the highest view. So view is important. So I mentioned before also at this morning at the beginning, the intention or motivation is important. So motivation means you are relating the view of helping, sense of helping others. So that is very important part. Okay, and I think I'm done with that. Now this Khadwanga, which crooked of his left hand. Now Khadwanga, it's I think Sanskrit words, the Khadwanga, and it has a few layers. Top layers, can you see three top? So that consider the nature of our mind, and also that consider, it's called Moho Rangshin Thukje. Moho, Moho means the essential natures. Moho means essential natures, that is one. Then now Rangshin, natural expressions, or natural itself, Rangshin. And then with compassions, pervasive compassions, pervasive compassion, right? Compassion to all. So these three, the three-prong considered Mo, Rangshin, Thukje. Essential natures, natural expressions, and compassion, pervasive compassions. So these three consider that the three-prong. And top of underneath that, you will see three. What's that? Skull. One skull is fully dry. Fully dry one is considered as a dharmakaya, and then the rotten one is considered as the sambhogakaya, or represent the sambhogakaya, and then down there the lower one is the fresh one, and this fresh one considered as the nirvanakaya. So this is the three skull is considered the three kaya. And normally many others, if you see the thankas, there has the, with that with this Vajra, there has this ring also. So ring has a 9 ring. So that 9 ring considered as a 9 yana, 9 yanas, okay. And also there has the color, that's silk color, that has a 5 color, and that considered the 5 wisdom. Okay, this is, I think, this Khadwanga, and Khadwanga itself is considered, there are the two things. In words of my perfect teacher, it has said that the Khadwanga is considered as a Dakini Mandarava itself. Okay, and some texts it says that this Khadwanga is considered as a Vajra Varahi, Durja Phagmo. So I think that both are the Dakinis, so both are the pure wisdom, so I think it doesn't matter much. Okay, then third one, the down there, the skull. Uh, Now the left hand has that skull resting in his lap. The gesture that he has, the hand is kind of the meditation gesture, and he has hold this skull cup, the skull, and in that skull, the filled with the wisdom nectars, wisdom nectar of the immortalities, or that nectar that will give you the longevity, or contains a long life. And the top of that, there's bast. There has a bast, or what do you call it? Bas, right? Bas. That bas considered as a long life bas. So when we receive the long life empowerment, you will see this bas, a bas empowerment. And top of that bas, there has kind of the tree, and that considered the wish fulfilled tree. So wish fulfilled tree means when you make a wish in front of him, so since he is everything, and at the same time he has all that important things, and also he has that wish fulfilled tree, so that will provide you everything. So this is actually the short information of what this Guru Rinpoche's the detail is. So I'm not sure what to say for now. So yeah, now I think I will stop here, and then if you have any questions, we will discuss on that. And if you don't have any questions, then I don't care. I'm just teasing. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
You can, please.
We call it the feather. I don't know what it is, but the thing that's on the very top, did you speak about that? Because if you did, I didn't hear it.
And that's called vulture feather.
The vulture feather. Oh, that's the vulture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that represents the realized of highest view.
Good old vulture.
Yes. Yes, sir. Please.
So if someone were to get a statue or a Tantra of Guru Rinpoche, which would be preferable for somebody who's just starting on the path? And are there certain ways that we need to create some sort of space? Like how would we go about doing that in our homes?
Come again. I didn't get you.
So if we were to bring a statue of Guru Rinpoche or a Thanga of Guru Rinpoche into our home, how would we go about creating an altar space for,
Oh, okay.
what things should we do?
Okay. The number one, the purpose of having statues or Thanga, whatever that we have, the purpose of that is to see them and then realize oneself that I am a practitioner. And then when see them, so then remember their noble qualities and activities. And then with that, then generating the faith and devotions towards them. That is the main purpose. So now, coming to your question, you can bring any statues or Thanga. Make sure that Thanga is complete. I mean, like with all the details. And then even if you are bringing statues, statue should have all the details. And then now, it's still a little bit of a controversy for some other peoples, but it will be appropriate if you could put this mantra inside everything's that, and you sealed it. Okay, that part is done now. And even if you are bringing a Thanga, you can write down the back, the sung, the mantra, Om Ahum Soha or Om Hum Tamriya. And then now, when you bring at home, you can place this anywhere you want. Make sure that clean. Just remember, when you bring the guest at your home, how you treat. You know, you put him in a toilet, you put him on the, you know, do whatever you want, you know. You are my guest, so I don't care. You don't do that, right? I'm sure you will respect. You will do whatever you want to. You will try to, you know, impress him. Let's say, if there is girl, then more impressed. Okay, I'm just telling you. So in that way, similarly, when you bring the statue or thankas at your home, also try to treat nice way. Yeah, I think so there is no particular rule and regulations to say, okay, you have to put this and then that and this. There's no rules. Yeah, no problem. Hindu means the nature of mind itself. In Tantric, we call Bindu. So now I don't know the exactly words in that, but when we do this, the Dzogchen practice, particularly the Thogyal practice, then we practice on the Bindu, try to see the deity itself. So the Bindu is nature of your mind, and that could show in form of the light, that could show form of the statues, deities, you know, or that could be the empty, just like space. So yeah, Bindu is nature of mind itself. Yes.
Khenpo, I have a question about when we visualize for refuge. This is actually not Guru Rinpoche, but I guess this is Khadwanga now.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the hands and the feet, Hari, Nitsa, Ratsa, Hiya.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's translated, I'm never clear. Are the hands Hari, Nitsa, and then the feet is Ratsa, Hiya?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, I'm trying to visualize what does it look like? Where does it land on the hand or the feet?
Yeah, it's called soul and feet, but to be honest, the translation itself, I don't have that one. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
I will try. Since you asked me, now I will try.
And did you explain about the Vajra? Did I miss something about the Vajra in the right hand?
Oh yeah, this Vajra I didn't explain much because that's nothing much. I mean, like, of course, there's five. This resting of Vajra, it has 5 point, 5 kaya, 5 prong. It's considered as a 5 kaya and 5 dakini. Sometimes they consider 5 Buddha and 5 family Buddha and 5 family this dakini or wisdoms. So that is always two sides like this. So all the Vajra has either 9 prong or 5. So, but most of the time they use the 5. So 5 is one side is up, one side is down. So many of the great masters said we should not be misplacing ups and down. You mark which one is top. So this 5 family Buddha and 5 wisdoms. So 5 family Buddha should be always like this. So if you see some lamas, they have this little mark on that. So they always have this top, or sometimes they put the mark on, so they like this. So this Vajra is considered as 5 kayas, yes, and then 5 wisdoms. They are one side. Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Which is one the top?
Yeah, that's difficult.
That's difficult.
That's your Vajra. So you decide yourself.
Khenpo, you taught us so much about Guru Rinpoche, and we've read a lot, and we know a little bit. And if we're in a position to greet somebody and bring them here, what would you tell us would be the most essential thing we could say to a visitor who does not have much background?
For that, we can explain in that way. Since we related with the Buddhisms, we start from the Buddha Dharma. Of course, like I mentioned, I started before, 4 Noble Truths, and then Law of Cause and Effect, all of that. And with that, now, according to the Kali Yuga, degeneration times, then that Shakyamuni Buddha transformed. Let's say he is actually considered as a second Buddha, And also he considers the reincarnation of Shakyamuni. Some of the texts they have also mentioned this. So, so he came into this world to help us, especially for this degeneration times, you know. And then now more is depend on how they understand that. Yeah. Yes, boss. Hello, sir. Okay, then bye bye. Okay, enjoy then. Have a good Sunday.